What is going on, guys? This is X out of here, back again with another mod review. Today we're going to take a look at the International 9900. I'm not quite too sure who it's by. I will figure that out, and I will put their name in the description below and give them credit. I have gotten this mod through another video that I watched, so but I will definitely put the person that created this. I will definitely put their name down below, so all credit goes to them. I just don't know their name at the moment, so I can't shout you out in the video, but I will definitely put your name in the description below, so do not worry about that. I always will do that. We'll always give credit to the person that does make the mod. So, without further ado, let's get into this. So you will find this truck in the Peterbilt dealership, so that's where you will find this, if any of you are wondering. So we have three cabs. We have the big bunk, which is what you see here, which is the standard. You have the 51-inch Pro Sleeper, which is, you can see the difference there. And then you have the day cab. Now there are accessories that you can't do, with the day cab, or I'm sorry, that you can do with the big bunk that you can't do with the day cab, such as like add a beacon up on top. You can't do that. Not even with the light adapter, you can't add a beacon. So if you want beacons, you're gonna have to get the big bunk. If you're not worried about it, then you don't have to. So next we'll go over to the chassis. There is the 6x4 long, 220 gallon. The 6x4 short, which as you can see back here, we'll flip it this way. As you can see, does change that. Now, if you just pick the other short chassis, the 6x4, it will ask you to change it. So it changes it back to the day cab. Now, I'm not going to do it because it will crash your game. It says it's in the day cab. It's checked off as the big bunk. If you choose the big bunk, it will crash your game. So you could pick this 51-inch Pro, but it won't change it. You could pick the day cab, which is what it is, but you can't change it. Can't obviously because it's the day cab. If you click on the big bunk, and I'm going to say this now, it will crash the game. How do you fix this? How do you go back? If you want the big bunk, just go back in here and choose either one of these two chassis, and you will go and be able to put this on here. If you do not do that, if you choose this chassis, you have to stick with the day cab, or it will crash your game if you try to switch the cabs. So you do have to go switch the chassis back to either one of these two, and you will be able to switch the bunk. I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to crash the game, uh, but I'm going to put that out there. I already tested it, and it did, and I was trying to see if it would do it, if you clicked on this one, excuse me, while you had the short chassis on like that, and it doesn't. So either one of these two you could choose, but if you choose the one that's checked off, it will crash the game. So, but I'm not going to pick the day cab for today. So I'm going to go with the long 220 gallon. I'm going to do the big bunk right there. So that's what I'm going to choose. Over to engines. There's a bunch of different engines that you can choose from. There's a bunch of Caterpillar C15s, all different horsepower, ranging from the 435, 437, or I'm sorry, 475. Sorry about that. The 550, the C15 625 Assert King of the Hill, and the Cat C13 380 horsepower. Then you have some Detroit diesels you could choose from. You have another Cat C15 500 horsepower, which should be up this way. It shouldn't be down here in between the Detroit diesels. Excuse me. You do have the Cummins 444 series, the Cummins N14 435, your Cat 3406E, 475 horsepower. You still have the other Cummins N14. I'm not going to say every name. And then you have your Cummins ISX12 and ISX15. So you can choose those. Whichever you desire is up with you. I'm a Caterpillar type engine person when it comes to trucks. So I'm going to pick the Cat 3406 550 horsepower. Moving over to transmissions now, we have the Eaton 4 10-speed, Eaton 4 13-speed. We have a Eaton 4 13-speed with a 410 ratio. We have a Eaton 4 10-speed with retarder, 18-speed, 18-speed with a 410 ratio. A Allison 6-speed, a 13-speed with a retarder, 18-speed with a retarder, and a Allison 6-speed with a retarder. I'm going to go with the Eaton 4 18 speed with the 410 pushing on the rear. So that's what I'm going to choose for today. Normally I would pick the 18 speed with a retarder, but change it up a wee tiny bit. Not too much, because I do like the 18 speeds, but we'll go with the 410 pushing on the rears for today. Into the interior, there's only one interior, and it says it's sleeper. So that's what you're stuck with. But the model it's not, bad. I do like it. It is really nicely done. It's not too bland. The shadows and the textures are pretty nicely done. So I do like all that. I do like the panel on the inside. Everything's very clear to see. The trailer brake, the parking brake. You can see air supply underneath the trailer brake. You got all the gauges that you could read legibly. You got the clutch down here, the brake and the gas. You got the ignition key. And it says Eagle on the door. It's very nicely done. Then you got your mirrors on the side. So it is a very nice interior. I do like it. If you guys know, I do love detail a lot. So every little bit of detail, such as this, it catches my eye, and it makes me only like the truck a lot more. So that's me. The shifter though looks a little funky. I'm not sure if this is how the actual shifter does look on the inside of this truck. The people out there that do know this truck more than I do will confirm that or not. But you could just put your regular Eaton 4 18 speed, or whatever speed, or just have whatever, something else. It just looks a little funky. That's all. I will say this: if you do go to the accessories, I'll do that at the end. There is no default steering wheel, so we'll get into that at the end. On to paint jobs. Now it does come with some skins with it. They're not the best looking skins. As you can see here, like, it's black, and you would think that you could change the black on it, but as you can see, you are not able to. So you're just stuck with that. Excuse me. Then you have the Caterpillar logo on the side here, and on the back it says Marine Power. So you have that skin. You have the Cummins one, which is almost like it. It has Cummins on the back. We don't have a Cummins in this truck, so I'm not going to choose that at all. I'm not going to choose any of these skins to begin with, but I'm just going to show you. You have an orange and black, and you still can't change the paint, so it is what it is. Silver and orange, which only has the fenders. Has the orange. You have another Caterpillar one. Yeah, I'm not going to say that, but you can choose that if you'd like. Here's another one. It says the 9900i. I guess that's what this is, but whenever you download the link, it does just say 9900. So I believe it's the 9900i. So we'll just call it the 9900i. And you have red and black. As you can see, not too well done on the right. See, this is what I wanted to point out too. I'll point this out. You see, the right side here is fine, but the left side seems to be glitching out. Now, if we go to accessories real quick, I'll show you. If we go to rack, as you can see, only half the rack is painted. And now, at first, I thought that was part of the, that they would have one door painted, 2 doors, 3 doors, only the middle door, something like that. But it's not the case. Excuse me. So I will show you that as soon as we get through these. And then you have red and orange. You could choose them if you'd like. Just keep in mind that the left side is glitched out. And I'll show you what I mean. Now, if we pick, we'll do black. We'll do forest green here. So if we go to the back and go back onto the rack, and pick one of the colored ones, as you can see, that's what the rack's supposed to be. Like that. Now, if we go back into paint, we choose, as you can see that it messes up the rack, the paint on the rack. As it's supposed to be a full color like this, it doesn't change it like that. So if you do want one of these skins, you're just gonna have to deal with the misplacement of the colors. So that is a bug that needs fixed, most definitely. but we're not going to choose any of those skins. So we'll finish up with the paint here. So this is your forest green. You have your sky blue, snow white, dark gray, pure red, sunny yellow. You have your custom color, which if you desire to choose this, you could choose whatever one you want. Then you have your dark red metallic, sky blue metallic, your custom metallic, which you could also choose any color that you so desire. And we can see the second one works. And we'll look at the fender. As you can see down here and on the hood right there, the corners, and up there on the sleeper, that it does, if I can grab the wheel, there we go, that it does work. So the metallic does work, which is nice. Now these three down here, these three skins, they say ATS, so if you click on it, that is what it looks like. That is, as you can see, the texture is not even there. So it is messed up pretty badly. I mean, you can change the color of it, but personally, it doesn't look right at all. And then if you go to this one works, but I don't know, it seems like the front, I don't know if that's how that's actually supposed to be or not. Possibly, but it doesn't look too properly done at all. Looks like it was done by, by a kid, sorry to say, but it's just, you could just tell by looking at the textures. And then if we go to this one, it looks exactly like this one, because it is exactly like that one, except for the fender paint. But it's like exactly the same. So I don't know what the deal is with it, or what it even is supposed to be, but we're not going to choose that just because it's not working at all. So we're going to choose a custom metallic. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in today. May do a blue. I like that. So keep that. So we'll do this as our paint job for today. I like that. Over to the accessories. Up on top we do have the beacons. Like I was saying before, you have to have the big bunk. Or you could also have the 50, I believe you could have the 51 inch. Yeah, you could have the 51 inch and still have the beacons. So those two you could do beacons. The day cab you cannot. So the three different beacons. You have your side mount beacons with the reverse lights on there. And I believe these are from Danclark. I believe these are his beacons that were for SCS's 389. And I guess the person that made this took them and put them on here, which they do look nice. So, but I am giving credit to Danclark because these look exactly like his, and they more likely are his. So for the beacons, they go to him, and these, I know these are definitely his beacons. As you can see, those are by him. So if you want beacons on there, you could choose to do so. I'm gonna go with the side beacons there with the reverse lights because the middle ones do not have them. So I'm gonna go with those ones. You have your turbo wing, which you could add the wing up top if you'd like. I'm gonna leave it up there. You have your exhaust. Now you have 4 different exhausts. You have they all say standard exhaust, but here's your first one, your second one, third one, and the fourth one right there. I like the fourth one's the best, so I'm gonna stick with those. Down here you have your cabin lights. I have the light adapter mod in there, so I could choose whatever lights I want to have on there. So you could choose whatever you want. To put the horns on here, I'd put them on the ends just because if you put them in the middle, such as like this, it clips through the sleeper. So I'd put them on the end, even though they'd go in the middle, or at least in one. Just the way that this is, they don't really fit. So they're just gonna have to, make do with what we have, and put them on the end. Even though it's not very prototypical, I mean, you could still do that. And then I'm gonna add the sleeper lights here, real quick. Alrighty, there we go. So on down to the sun visors, you have 3 different sun visors. They all say blind mount, but the first one is a chrome visor with 5 marker lights on there. Then you have your second one, which is a blind mount with no lights, and then your third one is the blind mount with the 5 marker lights on there. So you could choose either one of those 3. On down to the mirrors now. You only have one mirror to choose from, and that's the mirror's duty. So you're stuck with the mirror's duty that is there. There's no other option. If we move down here to the hood, you do have your left hood mirror, which does stick out like that, and you have the right one. So you could add those on there if you wish so. I do not like them, as you guys already know, so I'm not going to keep them on there. Moving on down to the grill. Now, there's 4 different grills. You have your grill matte, and then you have a black one. But as you look, they look exactly the same. The gloss isn't taken out for the matte black, so it's exactly the same. So that needs to be fixed. You have a painted one, which is whatever color you decide to paint the truck. Then you have a standard one, which is chrome. Now, you probably already saw this at the beginning of the video, and whenever you go to the dealership, there's no international logo on the truck. That is true. But here's an accessory dot, and you click on it, and it says logo. Click over here. There you go. Fix the problem. So now you have the international logo. If any of you were wondering where it was at, I was wondering where it was too. But click on the grill, and there's the option to have it on there or to take it off. So whichever you desire. Moving on down to the grill front, there's a bunch of different options. So we have a grill black, which has the horizontal bars that are black. We have darker ones, which actually aren't the horizontal. I mean, they are horizontal, but these ones look like they're opened a little bit, and these ones are closed. And then you have the grill paint, which as you can see they're opened. And then there's another painted one. You have a grill standard, another grill standard. You have the stock one, you have the stock black, and then you have the stock paint. So, you know, whatever you decide you want to go with, you can do that. I think I'm going to go with the, let's see. I'm going to go with those ones right there. I'm going to go with the horizontal painted ones, like that. There's no option to change the headlights as of now, so you were stuck with the default standard headlights and turn signal. Moving on down to the bumper, you do have bumper paint, bumper standard, which adds the bull bar on there, and you can still add lights on the bottom if you'd like. You'll have a chrome bumper, and then you have a more smoother bumper that is longer and has the running lights options on the bottom. I'm not going to add any lights just for, you know, video's sake and time's sake, so I'm not going to do that down there. Moving over the wheels, you know, you still have your, I do have a wheel pack in for these, and then I still have Vipers 389 in, which doesn't conflict with this at all. His truck seems to not conflict with any mod that's out there, so you could definitely tell that he knows this stuff. But you know, I do have the wheel pack in here, so I can choose whichever wheel I do, you know, desire or want. And then I have Smarties heavy haul, I guess you would say, or heavy tire in here as well. So we'll put that on there. I like these tires a lot, so I choose to always go with them. And put the Goodyears on there, and we'll put the Hyperion Chrome on there. And I don't believe there's no international cap, no. So we'll just do the premium chrome like that. Moving on to the sides, to the tank, there's a bunch of different tank options you could choose. So we'll take a look at those. So here's the chrome tanks, which has the chrome step and tank. The chrome tank steps, which just has the front tank with the steps on there. This is about the only person I know that has actually done this correctly for trucks. Like if you want to have the day cab, most day cab trucks do have the steps mounted on the tank as this. So if you do decide to choose day cab, I'd recommend you do this because it would look more prototypical. A lot of day cab variations that are out there for trucks that you are able to put a day cab on there don't have this option. And it's just, I mean, you can do it, but it just doesn't look to me, it doesn't look very prototypical. So that's just my opinion. But moving on, we have painted and chrome tanks. So the tank is painted, and then the steps are chrome, and the outsides of the tank are chrome. Painted and chrome tanks reversed. So the inside, or I'm sorry, the outsides are painted, and then the whole tank itself is chrome. And then you have the painted and chrome tanks steps. So there you have the steps that are painted, or I mean the tank that's painted, and then you have the reverse on the outsides that are painted, inside's chrome. And then you have painted tanks, which is all painted, and then you have painted tanks steps, which is the all painted tank with the steps. I'm gonna go with, let's see which one. I'm gonna go with this one right here with the painted, and then have the chrome on the ends. I think that fits more appropriate for this, so that's what I'm gonna choose. Moving on to the back to the racks, we already saw a couple, or the one that I put on there to show you the paint difference. But we'll go through them all. So here's the first rack, and they're not named, they're just all named rack, so that needs to be fixed. This isn't a beta, so that definitely needs to be fixed in the next update. But anyway, here's rack 1, here's rack 2, which doesn't look like it made much of a difference, but if you look closely, these have somewhat of like an angle. These would have like an angle on them a little bit on each of the triangle parts, and then this one's a diamond plate door. So you can see, right, it's kind of hard to see, but it is a diamond plate door. Then you have the diamond plate going around with the, the same doors as this. Then you have the all diamond, I'm sorry, then you have the painted rack with the diamond plate on there. You have the painted diamond plate with the triangular doors on there. Well, the door inserts, I guess you would say. I'm not really sure what these doors are called, but you get my point. Then you have the all painted diamond rack with the painted diamond doors. So that's the diamond plate that you can see that's all painted now. Then you have the all painted rack, just like the first one, but I'm not going to click on it because I'll lose my position of where I'm at. But you can see that it's all painted. Then you have a different style chrome door one, which has the top painted here. You have an all painted one there, and then you have the chrome box with the painted doors, and then you have an all chrome one. But you cannot add lights on this, which is a bummer. So if you do want to have the lights up top, you will have to choose one of these doors. Personally, I'm gonna choose, we'll go with this one. So we'll go with the diamond plate doors with the solid painted rack there. Moving on down to the deck, I was having a bit of an issue with this, not crash wise, but it was just, you'll see, it was just a little weird. So we click on the first deck, and you're probably wondering where's the deck at. You get rid of this, it's underneath the truck. So we get rid of that. So it adds the deck under there. There's the second deck. The third deck, it asks you to change the chassis, and it doesn't even change anything. And it's like on almost all of them that it asks you to do that. For these two anyway, it does ask you that. Then you have the deck chrome, which is this one here, which does add where the airline hoses would be at, down there to connect to the trailer instead of on the back. Then you have the deck paint, which will ask you to change it, which doesn't change anything. Another deck paint, which doesn't change anything. And then this one changes the frame, or the deck to painted. So these two right here, as you can see, these two don't click on them. And then these two right here underneath this deck, don't click on them, because it just asks you to change the chassis and it doesn't even change anything. So don't waste your time clicking on them. You could pause this and see which ones. So it's these two, and then these two right here. So don't click on either of those. So I'm going to go with the chrome one though, and we'll put the rack back on there that I had. Here we go. Moving on down to the frame, there's two different frames. This is a frame standard, which is black, and then you have a painted frame, which does paint the fifth wheel as well. But I'm going to leave it as black. Moving on to the fenders. There's a bunch of different fenders. This comes with the plastic chrome trim paint. So it has the chrome trim on the inside and then the painted fenders. We'll start at the top. We have your fenders plastic, fender plastic chrome, fender plastic chrome trim, which are plastic with the chrome trim in them, and then the fender paint, which is all painted. Then you have the full fenders that are chrome, or they say paint, but they're like plastic chrome, I guess. Then you have paint, so there's the paint one, and I guess that's the chrome one. So those need to be flipped around. Full fenders chrome. There's the actual chrome full ones. You can see is different from that one. This one has the lines coming down it, and this one does not. It's all smooth. Then you have the fenders paint. You have the half fender with those lines on it, painted. You have the chrome one with the lines on it. Then you have the half fender, which is all smooth, so that one's chrome as well. Then you have the half fenders chrome with the lines on it again. This looks like more like a plastic chrome, or plastic, compared to this one. Then you have the half fenders paint, which is the line ones that is half painted. Then you have the half fenders paint that is smooth, and then the plastic chrome trim one, which should actually be up here with all these ones. But I'm gonna go with the full tuning one like this. To me personally, that's what I like the best. So I'm gonna choose that. And as always, I'm gonna change the wheels in the back. So we'll do that real quick. Try not to take up too much time doing this. So we would choose that. And go. Oops. Right there. And do that. The nuts. And then we'll change the tires to Goodyear. So I have the Goodyear tires. And you can see they do fit under the fenders for the most part, it looks like. And then under the back we have the rear bumper. So you could choose the bumper custom there, which to me doesn't look very nice. I think it kind of looks ugly. But you can choose it if you want to. You have a bumpered standard, which has that with a bar. You could add more lights onto, and then you have a bumper T-bar, which looks like that. So, and if you do take this off, there's no mud flaps, so you have to have one of these options to add mud flaps on there. So we'll click on that, and here's the first bumper. So here's the mud flaps 1 and mud flaps 2, which adds more mud flaps on there. So that kind of looks a lot better now that we added the mud flaps instead of just having the bar like that. We'll go to the second one, and then we only have those mud flaps because now we have this bar here in the middle. Or that plate, I mean. And then if we go to the last one, the T-bar, and we click on the mud flaps, it just adds the mud flaps like so. But you can add lights, but there's no plate behind them, so it kind of doesn't look very well. I'm going to go with even though I said it did look ugly, it did look ugly without the mud flaps. But I'm going to choose this one. And no, we'll go with this one. Yeah, we'll go with this one. And then I'll choose the mud flaps like that. So that's the kind of light bar I'm going to choose. I believe that's everything for the outside of the truck that I've gone over. So we'll move on to the inside. So here we are back on the inside. If we go to the steering wheel, there is no standard steering wheel. So I do have the Creations pack in. So I will recommend if you do not have the pack. I believe it's only like $3 on Steam. If you had enough to afford the game, you could afford $3 to, for the steering wheel Creations pack. Because some people that do make these mods add these in here because they have them. As you can see, he has the Traveler Burl. So that's what he has. That's the steering wheel, but you could change it to whatever you want if you do have this pack in. So there is no standard, wheel for it. But I do like this one the best. It kind of matches the inside pretty closely. So I'm going to go with that. Over here we do have a GPS. And now I thought it would add the GPS right above the parking brakes. But if you click on it, it adds it up here on the mirror. So you could have it up there if you're driving and look over at it. And right here, it says CPU, and you click on it, it adds another GPS up there as well. I'm going to take that one off. But I believe that's it for the accessories on the inside of the truck. So we will confirm this. We'll go back out here. So we will confirm this. And we will trade in. Yes. Ready? Hopefully this shouldn't take too long to load up. Alrighty, there we go. So we'll skip this. So here we are. I will raise the seat up just a wee little bit. Not that way. We'll raise it up just a little bit. We'll see if the actual steering wheel is able to move. And as you can see that it is. So that is nice that they have that in there where you could move this. That option, the tilt it, does not work. To move it up and down does not work, but to have it in and out, actually that's backwards. This is supposed to pull the steering wheel in and out, and then G and V are supposed to put it tilted up and down, but as you can see that B and H do that. So that needs to be fixed. I mean, it is nice that you are able to move it, but moving it in and out, you know, lower or higher, as opposed to tilting it from lower to higher, that option is not available, but you can tilt it as you so please. So we will we'll start this up and give it a listen. Go to the outside here, and we'll start her up. That sounds nice. Alright, so we'll check out the horn here. There's the horn, and do the air horn. Alright, put the lights on there. Alright, so you can see that the marker lights all work. There is no cabin panel option to change that, so that is stock. There's no air cleaner option to change the air cleaners or add lights onto it, so that needs to be, you know, you should have an option to do that. If you are going to make a custom truck, you know, you should have the option to do that. And then there's the headlight. There's the high beams, as you can see there. Here's the left turn signal, so it does work on there. And I don't have no lights on the back, so it's just the front right now. And do the right side. Alright, cool. And then do the beacons. Beacons work. Reverse lights work. As you can see on the underside of the beacon. Not super bright. They could definitely be brighter, but they do work. Get back into the cab here. So we will take this down the street, as always. And I'll let you guys listen to the sounds on the inside and the outside. And I will be quiet during that. So sit back and enjoy the sounds. As you can see, the GPS up there does work quite nicely too. So just wanted to point that out real quick. Test out the Jake brake. Coming up to this light here. There. And now we'll go to the external view, and I'll let you guys listen to the outside sounds. jake brake here. This is one of the reasons why I really like Caterpillars, because their engines do sound very nice. So it's just my personal preference. So. Right here. We're back at the shop. Turn the lights off and shut the engine down. Alrighty, this is the International 9900i. Once again, I can't not remember, but I do not know at the moment who this is by, but I will figure that out, and I will put their name in the description below. Credit goes to them, and anyone else that was involved in making this truck happen. The beacons, they do look like they're from Danclark. It looks like he imported them onto this truck, because they are the same exact beacons that are on the 389 for SCS, and I know Danclark's the one that made those. So those do look exactly the same. So I am going to give credit, the beacons, to Danclark for that. So, you know, I do appreciate those. Those do look phenomenal. You know, anything else that's wrong with the truck that I see? Not too much. I do like it. You know, it is classic International. You know, they are very classic. They stick to being sort of a, you know, a classic type of a truck. I do wish there was an option though to change the air cleaners, add lights on them, you know, change the cabin panel lights, you know, have your own custom lights on there, you know, add fairings on the bottom of the tanks, you know, if you want to add lights on there. But, you know, they don't have to do that, but it's just something that, you know, the people that do want to do that, it's just an option for them that, you know, that they could do. It does look like the sun is setting here, as you can see the shadow moving. So I will try to hurry this up as much as I can. But overall, it is a very nice truck. I do like, you can see the river detail there on the side. That is just phenomenal. That is just very high detailed. You know, they really pop out at you. You know, you can really see it. You know, especially with the metallic paint on here. So, me personally, I do like this truck. Aside from the skins, you know, they're a little messed up. The inside, again, we'll take a look at it. You know, the interior is just really nicely done. And the person that made this, they did a fantastic job on it. So, you know, credit does go to them for this awesome truck. So, as always, I will leave a link down in the description below to where you can go and download this. It's simple, just, you know, download it, unzip the file, drag it over into your mods, and activate it, and that's all you have to do. Now, I do not have any other trucks in besides the Peterbilt 389 from Viper. That's it. As I said before, his truck really doesn't seem to conflict with any other truck mods that I've done. So, but I do have this in as the only truck. So if you do have other trucks and you're saying your game's crashing and you're saying this isn't working and all that, you have to go through your mods. You have to check to see what is causing it. There's just nothing else to it. So, but I have this in as its own, as just by itself besides, you know, Viper's truck. And it works perfectly fine for me. So, I just wanted to let you guys know that. But once again, this has been Xatter here. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Leave a like, you know, comment, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You know, we just hit over 100, you know, subscribers. Granted, I did start with, you know, 25 subscribers before. That's before I started doing all this. But we have hit over 100 and still growing every day, which, you know, to me means a lot. So, you know, I do appreciate you guys for doing that, you know, to subscribing and, you know, you guys liking my videos. So it does mean a lot to me, and it only makes me, like I said before, it only makes me want to do more. It's just me finding the time, because I'm very busy with work, me finding the time to do this, you know, spending time with my girlfriend and doing other stuff. So it is hard, but once, you know, I see a mod comes out, I want to make a mod review on it that day, or as soon as I possibly can, for you guys, so you guys can enjoy it and, you know, give it a try for yourself. So, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, so I do appreciate that a lot. You know, and the support just is phenomenal. So Thank you again for that. This has been X out of here. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.